there you go, Sarah. That was pretty good. Now, how many smokers do I have in the audience right now? And how many of you have tried to quit? Okay. I just graduated from UNO, and this piece is about my struggle to quit smoking. It's very, very hard struggle. I never got quite over the loss of my thumb. The taste of that flesh-colored buoy bobbing up and down against my palate remained a comfort to me until the age of 6, when my mother dug her claws into our favorite vices and fought to detach us from them. At night, it was perfectly normal for my father to pick up his pack of Swisher Sweets and slip out a sight briefly. When my younger brother and I questioned his behavior, my mother schemed to dispose of all of our oral fixations. In an age of Land Before Time video cassettes, crime-fighting reptilians, and storytelling teddy bear robots, my mother found a way to pit her children's habits of greed for toys. Some people believe that children stuck with parents in authoritarian positions tend to be the worst among the bad apples. So statistically, I was born to cause turmoil. My dad was a deputy sheriff, and my mom was a teacher. As if my father's hound nose for bullshit wasn't a good enough scare tactic, the breathalyzer in his Corsica parked in the driveway had a purpose far beyond his 9-to-5 job. Instead, I found rebellion in my brand new 95 Ford Escort and a girl named Sarah. When I was 14, Sarah punched me in the face during marching band practice for talking back to her. This brief altercation showed the beginnings of a sibling rivalry that evolved into a deep friendship that evolved over the next 4 years. At 17, our favorite activity was taking my new car out on extended drives with the bluff, windows down, Marble 27s in hand, trying our best to out-sing each other, one terrible pop song at a time. I remember then I didn't care for the taste of cigarettes. When I left for college a year later, I engaged in an affair between alcoholic inebriation and the pleasures of brief nicotine highs in between drinks, unaware of the patterns mirroring an addict in training. Cigarettes became another commodity to cell phones, car keys, leaking beyond the nights of heavy inebriation and into my hungover slump to a 9 a.m. lecture the next morning. The insecurities I faced as a freshman found solace in the burning embers of my marble. When the snugness of my jeans began to noticeably debut, doubt overpowered good common sense, and I concocted a diet that would help me attain the body that I had had before I went to college. The nicotine I craved curbed my appetite, and these menthol minutes I took, living for days off of glasses and packs of cigarettes alone, began to affect my figure. I sunk from a healthy 165 to 140, feeding my ego as a falsely confident skeleton and mistaking my peers' acknowledgement of rapid depletion for praise. I spent less money on groceries, and acknowledgement consummated my addition to skinny jeans and nicotine against my decline in health. Yeah, that's right, I would. That summer, I returned to my cousin's wedding, and my weight became the formal talk of dinner banner in between the electric slide and the hokey pokey. Gossip had always played an important role with my mother's family, and their inability to conjure up any of my recent failures gave them precedent to attack my weight. Hushed whispers of anorexia floated in between the best songs of Bon Jovi and Pat Benatar. As I dwelled on this, my cousin approached me and asked me to step outside for a drag. I obliged and followed her out of the hall to the parking lot down the street where I certainly wouldn't be disturbed. Martha, a lightweight with ratty blonde hair that trickled over her eyes, had been in and out of rehab facilities for years, getting tangled up with methamphetamines, and had the bruises of her boyfriends to prove it. Her questionable society was consummated with a shaky handshake and a baby voice that didn't quite fit her 26-year-old body. As we stepped back inside, I heard my uncle say, "Did y'all just get back from saving a burning building?" Ignoring the brow, I scanned the room for my parents, came face to face with my mother. "They don't want me near the kids," she said. It doesn't matter if they saw you. Despite my efforts to taking a less traveled route to the church, someone had seen me lighting up in my church, on the car, on the way to the wedding. The recurring night for gossip of my grandfather's previous battle with lung cancer, my family left no stone untarnished to tarnish my name, and I was asked to leave the wedding. This became my first attempt to quit cold turkey, and much like the spoken words of Sin City's villainous Jackie Boy, nobody ever really quits. A smoker's a smoker when the chips are down. In my case, the chips had fallen into new territory with after I turned 21 and experienced a crowded bar, where I took solace in my pack of marbles. I was still substituting nicotine for nutrients, though not as often, and after my birthday, was reprimanded by a complete stranger as I went to purchase another pack. Her obesity competed for limelight with her golden-crested teeth, and she rang merchandise through her checkout from the comfort of a chair. I approached the counter only to be dazzled by the reflection of fluorescent beams emanating from inside her mouth. As I handed her my identification, a puzzled look came over her face, and she handed it back almost singing. "This ain't you." "It's me when I was 17. "How old are you now?" 21. Still faithless, she called for a manager to verify my ID and gave a heavy sigh as the woman manager agreed that I was indeed the guy in the photo with a slightly different haircut. "Damn, you must have lost a lot of weight." Visions of popular weight loss jingles danced in my head as she continued. "You look unhealthy now. Too skinny." "Thanks, Nicole. Have a good night." I felt betrayed by the common laws of customer service, but sat in my car humbled. Her brief commentary unnerved me, even highlighted the vain attempts I had made to my body to gain the ideal form. The pack of cigarettes went untouched for 2 months. Stage 1, denial. Stage 2, a brief stint in exercise and dietary health. Step 3, walking relapse into the arms of drunken hookups and empty marble cartons that littered my memories of going away to college. Dating became a double-edged sword, and I tended to avoid potential partners who smoked, fearing that their presence would feed any weakness for that one drag. The thought of transforming into that young adult with a familiar rasp of a Vietnam War vet terrified me. Dating a non-smoker also allowed the nicotine to morph from a tool of brief euphoria to an aggravating weapon used at my discretion to incite anyone who would upset me. But my weapon was turned against me when I met Josh, also a smoker, who told me he thought he was dying of cancer 2 weeks after we started dating. His confession kept us from moving forward and was often the center of petty arguments. They say that the first week is the hardest, but those 6 weeks with Josh were the hardest that I've ever endured. During one night, I left his lot in search of a gas station after some argument that we had, and he chased me down, cigarette in hand, telling me how pathetic it was that he was dating somebody that was supposedly dying of cancer. His words clung to me like the stench of a cigarette and stopped me from entering that store. My lungs were safe for 2 weeks until he broke with me for some 40-year-old whore that had money. So now, for years, I've been stuck in stage 3. I probably have spent more money on cigarettes than I spent on school books. And I've lived the paycheck to paycheck lifestyle of last year's jeans and t-shirts while embracing the cluster of dance clubs and inebriated blackouts. And my cigarettes are always there. When I was 6, I lost my thumb. At 18, I lost my values. And at 22, I gained that dreaded rasp that now belongs to social circles I've formed in bars, reception halls, and airport terminals. What doesn't kill us makes us stronger in a world full of strangers. Thank you.